The Nets take on the Bulls, 6 o'clock Eastern tip-off. Chicago's -1, totals 231.5. We saw a half a point fade of Chicago in movement upward on the total. The Bulls open 1.5 down to -1. Total open 231 up to 231 and a hook. 64% of the consensus are leaning toward Brooklyn. 65% shaded toward the over. Right now the Nets are -103 on the money line. Brooklyn's just 1-5 straight up away from home. 2-4 against the spread in those 6 games. Karis LeVert and Kevin Durant are out for tonight's action. And Kyrie Irving is listed as questionable. Now, the Nets have lost their last 3 straight games. They rank in the bottom 5 in points allowed on the road. They're in 4th place in the Atlantic Division. And they're 6 games back of first place in that division. Now, the Bulls on the other side, winners in 2 out of their last 4. They've also successfully covered the number in 5 out of their last 7. They're covering 60% of their games at home. They rank in the top 10 in defensive three-point percentage. They're led by Zach LaVine, who's averaging 20 points a game, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. Lauri Markkanen is averaging 14 points a game, 8 rebounds as well. And Wendell Carter Jr., 9 rebounds, 1 block, 13 points per contest. Now, total-wise, Chicago is 3-3 to the under in their last 6. Brooklyn's 4-3 to the under in their last 7. I'm going to lean toward the home favorite in this game. Give me Chicago -1 and the under 231.5 in that game. Next matchup, Bucks, Pacers, 7 o'clock, Indiana. The Bucks are -5.5, total 226 and a hook. We saw a half a point move toward Milwaukee. Movement upward on the total. The Bucks open 5 up to 5.5. Total open 226 up to 226 and a hook. 81% are leaning Milwaukee. 74% shaded toward the over. Right now, Indiana is +205 on the money line. Lamb, Turner, and Brogdon are all listed as questionable for the Pacers. There's also a second of a back-to-back for Indiana. They lost to Houston last night, 111 to 102. The Pacers rank in the bottom 10 in home three-point percentage. They failed to cover in 3 out of their last 6 at home as well. Now the Bucks on the other side are 8-3 overall for the year. First place in the Central Division. 5-2 straight up away from home. They've also won 6 out of their last 7 ball games. They rank in the top 3 in scoring. They're led by Giannis Antetokounmpo, 31 points a game, 15 rebounds, 7 assists. He's also averaging 2 steals and 2 blocks per game. Eric Bledsoe is averaging 18 points a game, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. And Brook Lopez, 11 points, 5 rebounds for him. Now the Bucks rank in the top 3 in offensive rebounding, top 3 in defensive field goal percentage. They also rank in the top 3 in offensive rebounding on the road. Now total-wise, Indiana's 5-3 to the under in their last 8. I'm going to purchase the half a point, slide it down, and take Milwaukee -5. And the under 226.5 in that game. Next matchup, Charlotte, Knicks, 7:30 New York. The Knicks are -3.5 at home, totals 212. We saw a half a point fade of New York and movement downward on the total. The Knicks open 4, down to -3.5. Total open 213, down to 212. 65% are leaning Charlotte, 73% shaded toward the over. Right now, the Hornets are +145 on the money line. Charlotte has successfully covered the number in 2 out of their last 3. They're 7-5 against the spread overall for the year, 4-1 ATS when traveling. The Hornets rank in the top 10 in offensive three-point percentage, top 10 in points allowed on the road. They're also in the top 5 in road defensive rebounding. They're led by Devontae Graham, who's averaging 18 points a game, 4 rebounds, 8 assists. Terry Rozier is scoring 17 a game, 4 rebounds, 5 assists for him. And Big Cody Zeller is bringing down 9 rebounds per game, 13 points for him. New York on the other side, losers in 6 out of their last 8. They're just 3-5 against the spread in those 8 games. Bullock and Payton are still out. New York ranks in the bottom 3 in scoring, bottom 3 in offensive field goal percentage, bottom 10 in offensive three-point percentage at home. They're also a perfect 5-0 to the under at home this year. I'm going to purchase the half a point, buy it up, and take the road dog Give me Charlotte +4 and the under 212 in that game. Before we go ahead and move on, just want to take a quick timeout and welcome you to the show. Got some lines and personal leans out for Saturday's NBA action. Happy Saturday, guys. The weekend is finally here. Hopefully you're enjoying your weekend and you are not hungover from last night. But anyway, just want to quickly remind you guys to check me out on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage, where we are 8-3 in our last 11 board member package plays on that site. We're also hitting at 67% for the entire college football season. Now, a lot of folks will ask me, what's the difference between Patreon and what you do here on YouTube? And I tell them this, what we do here on YouTube is we handicap every single game on the board, both the side and the total. We don't take any free passes. We formulate an opinion on every single game. Who's going to cover? We'll go over or under. We do that for every single game. And I'll tell you this much, if you were to bet that way, if you were to bet your hard-earned money on every single game on the slate, both the side and the total, I guarantee you, you will lose in the long run. The bookies are too good. They're too smart. The math is always against you. It's just not a winning formula for success. So what we do on Patreon is we really narrow it down and dial it in on 3 to 4 premium selections per day. They're high percentage selections. They're personal plays of mine. They're games that I personally have action on. And I'll tell you this much. My record on Patreon is a lot better than it is on YouTube. And you can check that out for free right now. You can literally look at my current record right on the homepage. All you got to do is click the link in the description section below. That is patreon.com/BrockPage. All right, let's go ahead and get back into some more free lines and personal leans right here on YouTube. All starts Eastern Standard Time. And on deck, we've got the Pelicans taking on the Heat, 8 o'clock Miami. The Heat's -6.5, total 231. We saw a 1.5 point fade of Miami and movement upward on the total. The Heat opened 8, down to -6.5. Total opened 230.5, up to 231. Right now, New Orleans is +250 on the money line. The Pels are just 3-8 overall for the year, 1-4 straight up away from home. They're in last place in the Southwest Division, 5.5 games back in that division. The Pelicans rank in the bottom 3 in points allowed. Josh Hart and Zion Williamson out for tonight's action. J.J. Redick, let's try that again. Redick, Okafor, Ingram, and Ball are all listed as questionable for the Pelicans. Now, Miami on the other side, 6-2 straight up in their last 8, 8-2 against the spread in their last 10. First place in the Southeast Division. The 3.5 games of Charlotte for the lead. Jimmy Butler's averaging 19 points a game, 6 rebounds, 7 assists. He's also averaging 3 steals a game. Kendrick Nunn for Miami, 18 points a game, 2 steals for him. And Goran Dragic, 16 points a game, 3 rebounds, 5 assists. Miami ranks at the top 3 in field goal percentage, top 5 in three-point percentage. A couple more things to add about Miami. They're in the top 10 in points allowed at home, top 3 in defensive rebounding at home. And if you're a fantasy player, just keep in mind, Waiters, Jones Jr., and Winslow are listed as out for tonight's action for the Heat. Now, total-wise, Miami's 6-2 to the under in their last 8. New Orleans 4-2 to the under in their last 6. I'm going to purchase the 0.5 point, buy it down, and take Miami -6 and the under 231 in that game. Next matchup, Rockets, Timberwolves, 8 o'clock Minnesota. Houston's -1, totals 234.5. We saw movement downward on the spread and the total in the early wagering. The Rockets opened 1.5 down to -1. Total opened 235 down to 234.5. Minnesota's 2-1 straight up in their last 3. 3-1 against the spread in their last 4. They rank in the top 10 in scoring, top 10 in offensive rebounding. Karl Anthony Towns is averaging 27 points a game, 12 rebounds, 4 assists. Andrew Wiggins is averaging 26 points a game, 5 rebounds, 1 block. He is listed as questionable for tonight's action. Jeff Teague is averaging 14 points and 7 assists a game. Now Houston on the other side coming off a back-to-back. Westbrook is out. Capella and House are listed as questionable. Green, Nene, Gordon still out indefinitely for the Rockets. Houston's failed to cover in 4 out of their last 6 on the road. They rank in the bottom 10 in offensive field goal percentage, bottom 10 in points allowed, and bottom 10 in defensive rebounding. Now, total-wise, Minnesota's 8-2 to the over in their last 10. That's good for 80%. They're also 5-1 to the over at home. I'm going to lean toward the home dog in this one. Give me Minnesota +1 in the over 234.5 in that game. Next matchup, Raptors taking on the Mavs. And that's going to be an 8:30 Eastern tip-off in Dallas. The Mavericks are -3.5. Totals 217 and a hook. We saw a 1-point fade of Dallas and movement upward on the total. The Mavericks open 4.5 down to 3.5. Total open 217 up to 217.5. 65% are leaning Toronto. 78% shaded toward the over. Right now the Raptors are +145 on the money line. Toronto's 8-3 straight up on the year, 7-4 against the spread. They're in second place in the Atlantic Division. They rank in the top 10 in scoring, top 3 in three-point percentage. Pascal Siakam's averaging 27 points a game, 9 rebounds, 4 assists. Freddie VanVleet, 17 points a game, 8 assists for him. And Big Marc Gasol, 7 rebounds, 3 assists on average for him. Toronto ranks in the top 10 in points allowed, top 3 in defensive field goal percentage. Now keep in mind, if you're a fantasy player, Lowry, Ibaka, and OG Anunoby are listed as out for tonight's action for the Raptors. Now Dallas on the other side, losers in 3 out of their last 4. They're just 2-5 against the spread in their last 7 as well. They have not covered a point spread at home this year. 0-5 ATS in their home games. They also rank in the bottom 10 in home defensive rebounding, bottom 3 in offensive field goal percentage at home. Total-wise, Dallas 2-2 to the under in their last 4. Toronto 5-4 to the under in their last 9. I'm going to purchase the half a point, buy it up, and take Toronto +4 and the under 217.5 in that game. Next matchup, Blazers, Spurs, 8:30 San Antonio. The Spurs are -1, totals 227. We saw a 2-point fade of San Antonio and movement upward on the total. The Spurs open -3, down to -1. Total open 225, up to 227. 54% are leaning San Antonio, 56% shaded toward the over. Right now, Portland is +102 on the money line. The Blazers have lost 6 out of their last 7 games. They're also just 1-6 against the spread in those 7. They're 4-8 overall for the year, last in the Northwest Division, 4.5 games back of first place. They rank in the bottom 10 in field goal percentage, bottom 10 in points allowed, bottom 5 in defensive rebounding. Now the Spurs on the other side, completely different story. They rank in the top 10 in offensive field goal percentage, top 5 in offensive rebounding, top 10 in defensive rebounding as well. DeMar DeRozan is averaging 20 points a game, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. Total-wise, we're looking at a San Antonio team who's 5-2 to the over at home, 4-1 to the over in their last 5 at any location. I'm leaning toward the home favorite in this one. Give me the Spurs -1 and the over 227 in that game. And we're going to slide to our next and final matchup for the show. It is going to be Hawks, Clippers, 10:30 Los Angeles. The Clippers are -10.5, total 225 and a hook. We saw a 2.5-point fade of the Clippers and movement downward on the total. The Clippers open 13, down to -10.5. Total open 227, up to 225 and a hook. 62% are leaning Atlanta. 84% shaded toward the over. Right now the Hawks are +620 on the money line. Atlanta's just 2-7 straight up in their last 9. 2-6 against the spread in their last 8. They're in 4th place in the Southeast Division. 4 games back in that division. Atlanta ranks in the bottom 10 in scoring, bottom 3 in three-point percentage, bottom 10 in points allowed on the road. Carter, Collins, and Herter are all listed as out for the Hawks tonight. Now the Clippers on the other side, completely different story. They successfully covered the number in 5 out of their last 7. They're also 6-1 against the spread at home. Lou Williams is averaging 23 points a game, 4 rebounds, 6 assists. Montrezl Harrell, 18 points a game, 7 rebounds, 1 block for him. Kawhi and Beverly are listed as questionable for tonight's action, and Landry Shamet is out. Total-wise, Clippers 8-4 to the under on the year, 6-1 to the under at home. I'm going to buy the hook, slide it down, and take the Clippers -10 and the under 225.5 in that game. All right, guys, let's go ahead and slide into our quick pick recap, brought to you by patreon.com/BrockPage, where we are 8-3 in our last 11 board member package plays, and hitting at 67% for the entire college football season on that website. I like the Clippers -10, under 225.5. Toronto plus 4 under 217.5. San Antonio minus 1 over 227. Miami minus 6 under 231. Minnesota plus 1 over 234.5. Charlotte plus 4 under 212. Milwaukee minus 5 under 226.5. And last but certainly not least, I have Chicago minus 1 and the under 231.5 in that game. All right, let's go ahead and dive into some shout-outs brought to you by patreon.com/BrockPage. Shout out to Ninja Chris, Okan Erdogan, Falfi Matthews, Dexter Crispino, Jay Garabillo, 46, Ronnie Christie, Shotgun Shell 80, Rhea Kicks for Love, Sauce Sensei Master Drip Lord. Shout out to Elliot V, Evil Dax, Pablo Vergara, Aaron McLemore, Zoran Jurovic, Chris Temple 66. Shout out to Gio Lopez, Lamont Hartfield, and last but certainly not least, a guy who is nothing but class. He always has been, he always will be. Shout out to my man, Stephen Lewis. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me, but we do need to slide into our quick pick recap. Edición en Español. Yo tengo Clippers, menos 10 y los bajos. Toronto, con puntos y los bajos. San Antonio, menos 1 y las altas. Miami, menos 6 y los bajos. Minnesota, con puntos y las altas. Charlotte, con puntos y los bajos. Milwaukee, menos 5 y los bajos. Y final, Chicago, menos 1 y los bajos. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. Once again, don't forget to check me out on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage. We do daily premium selections on that website, beginning at just $1.99 per month. We have a bunch of different memberships, tiers, and packages that you can subscribe to. We're 8-3 in our last 11 board membership plays on that site. We're also hitting at 67% for the entire college football season on that site as well. Like, a lot of people will ask me, what's the difference between your Patreon site and what you do here on YouTube? And I always tell them, what we do here on YouTube is we handicap every single game, both the side and the total. And if you were to bet your hard-earned money on every game on the board, both side and total, that's like betting every number in roulette. You can't win. I mean, the math is against you. Mathematically, you can't win. The books are too good. They're too smart. The math is against you. You cannot win. So what we do on Patreon is we really narrow it down and dial it in on 3 to 4 premium selections. They're high percentage plays, and they're personal plays of mine. They're games that I personally have action on. And I'll tell you this much. My current record on Patreon is a lot better than it is on YouTube because we're so focused and dialed in on these high percentage plays. You can actually check out my record for free right now. All you got to do is click the link in the description section below. It's right on the homepage. It's patreon.com/BrockPage. But most importantly, guys, I do have to thank you for watching me right here on YouTube. I really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. Happy Saturday to you. Best of luck to you. And I'll see you on patreon.com/BrockPage.